Hello, dear friends. Welcome back. Hope you all are doing well and are properly utilizing your time. Let us continue with our lesson Bonding and Coordination Compounds. In the previous lecture, we discussed about crystal field theory, which was proposed by Hans Bethe and Van Vleck. I told you about the assumptions of crystal field theory. According to CFT, there is an electrostatic or ionic force of attraction between the ligands and the metal ion, and the ligands are considered as negative point charges. Further, there is no intermixing or sharing of orbitals of central atom and ligand orbitals. I also explained to you the shape of d orbital, dumbbell shape structure. One point I missed was this dz shape of this dz orbital, dz square orbital. Actually, this dz square orbital is a linear combination of these two orbitals, dz square x square and dz square y square. In both the cases, the electron density in z direction is more, hence it is shown as this, and the shorthand representation of dz square is used. This circle in xy direction is termed as donut or collar. In an isolated gaseous metal ion, all the 5 d orbitals are degenerate. If we apply a spherically symmetric field of negative charges around the metal, the orbitals will remain degenerate, but all of them will be raised in energy as a result of repulsion between the negative field and the negative electrons in the orbitals. Now, if the field will result from the influence of real ligands, either anions or the negative ends of the dipolar ligands, the symmetry of the field will be less spherical and degeneracy of the d orbitals will be removed. Degeneracy means these d orbitals are degenerate. It means that these 5d orbitals are having equal energy. But when the field will be unsymmetrical, in that case these d orbitals will be split and will be having different energies. Okay. We also studied about crystal field splitting in octahedral field. In octahedral field, splitting of d orbitals took place into two T2g and Eg orbitals. This occurred why? Because the orbitals lying along the x, y and z axis were facing more repulsion compared to the orbitals lying in between the axis. So, the dz square and dx square y square orbitals which were lying along the axis were strongly repelled, while the orbitals dxy, dxz and dyz whose lobes were directed in between the axis were facing less repulsion and they were not so strongly repelled. Therefore, the d orbitals were split into two sets, dz square and dx square y square. The extent to which Eg and T2g orbitals are separated in an octahedral complex is known as delta O or 10 dq. However, the average energy of the 5d orbitals is not changed. Therefore, this barycenter is maintained. The T2g orbitals are stabilized by 0.4 delta O or 4 dq, while the Eg orbitals rise in energy, which is 0.6 delta O or 6 dq. Now let us see the significance of delta O. This delta O can be used in explaining the color of transition metal complexes. Let us take the case of TiS2O whole 6 3 plus. It is a D1 complex in which the electron occupies the lowest energy orbital, that is one of the 3 degenerate T2g orbitals. This complex has purple color. From the UV visible absorption spectrum, we find that it shows a maximum at around 20300 cm inverse, which corresponds to delta O 243 kilojoule per mole. With the help of CFT, we can show that this is due to the transition of this D1 electron from T2G level to EG level, thereby giving it purple color. Now you must be thinking, what will happen when there will be more than one electron? In that case, we have to take electron-electron interactions into account. For D1 to D3 systems, according to Hund's rule, electrons will not pair and they will occupy T2G set. T2G set have 3 orbitals. So D1 electron system will occupy 1 orbital of T2G. D2 will occupy 2 orbital of T2G, while 3D electrons will occupy 3 orbitals of T2G set. But for D4 to D7 systems, what happens? Either the electrons will occupy T2G set and pairing will occur, or they will first of all occupy T2G set and then EG set, and then when the electrons will be in excess, pairing will occur. So the first case in which first pairing occurs, this happens in case of low spin or strong field situation, and in the second case it happens in the high spin or weak field situation. So the two important factors which we have to consider are pairing energy and EG T2G splitting, which is referred to as delta O 10dq or CFSE. For both the high spin and low spin situations, we can compute the CFSE. So let us first of all see what is crystal field stabilization energy, CFSE. It is the lowering in the energy of a transition metal ion in a given ligand environment due to crystal field effects. For an octahedral complex, CFSE is calculated by using the formula minus 0.4 into NT2G plus 0.6 into NEG delta O plus MP. Here NT2G is number of electrons present in T2G orbital, NEG is number of electrons present in EG orbital, M is number of electron pair, and P is pairing energy. For strong field or low spin complexes, CFSE is very large, hence pairing occurs. For weak field or low spin complexes, CFSE is rather small, hence no pairing occurs. In this table, CFSE for weak field and strong field and different D configuration is shown. So how to calculate? I have taken one example. I have shown calculation of CFSE for D5 system. Now in the weak field, these 5 electrons will first of all occupy T2G and then EG. Afterwards pairing will occur. So all the 5 d orbitals are occupied. CFSE will be calculated as minus 0.4 into 3 because there are 3 electrons in T2G plus 0.6 into 2 because 2 electrons are there in EG orbital, and this will give us 0 delta O. In case of a strong field, pairing will occur first of all. So all the electrons will occupy T2G orbital. Therefore CFSE will be 0.4 into 5 plus 0.6 into 0, and this will come out to be 2 delta O. Now you will be wondering why I have not put minus sign over here, because for CFSE we take the modulus value. Okay. Now let us study the crystal field splitting in tetrahedral field. First of all, imagine a tetrahedral molecule inside a cube with metal ion in the center of the cube. These are representing the d orbitals of metal ion. The ligands occupy the 4 alternate corners of the cube, leaving the rest of the corners empty. So in a tetrahedral field, the dxy, dxz and dyz orbitals are nearer. They are nearer to the direction of approach because the ligands are approaching from in between the axes. While the dz square and dx square y square orbitals are along the axis and are less closer to the approaching ligands. So the T2 orbitals have higher energy compared to E orbitals. Here why we have not termed it as T2G, because it is not gerade, means center of symmetry is not present in case of tetrahedral field. Okay, center of inversion. So in case of tetrahedral field, splitting takes place like this. EG is stabilized while T2G is raised in energy by 0.4 delta T. The crystal field splitting is intrinsically smaller than that in an octahedral field because there are only 2/3 as many ligands and they have less direct effect on d orbitals. So, as a result, all tetrahedral complexes are high spins since CFSE is normally smaller than the pairing energy. Hence, low spin configurations are rarely observed. If a very strong field is present, in that case, tetrahedral complex will not be formed and square planar geometry will be favored. Now, let us see the crystal field splitting in square planar complexes. In an octahedral ML6 complex, consider an octahedral ML6 complex. So, if the two trans ligands along the z axis, they are removed or they are moved either towards or away from the metal ion, the resulting complex is called as tetragonally distorted. And the square planar complex is limiting case of tetragonal elongation, in which the trans ligands along the z axis are moved away from the metal ion and they are moved so much away that they are finally removed. So this is the splitting pattern of square planar geometry. A represents the splitting in case of octahedral complex. Now when we will be removing z ligands, the orbitals having z component will be stabilized, and in case of square planar complexes C, since the ligands in z direction are completely removed, so the z orbital will further be stabilized. Meanwhile, the orbitals containing x and y components will be raised in energy. So delta Sp is the dxy is the difference between the energies of dxy and dx square orbitals. Okay, let me brief it. Due to z-axis stretching, orbitals having a z component experience a decrease in electrostatic repulsion from the ligands and are therefore stabilized. At the same time, the non-z orbitals will be raised in energy with the barycenter remaining constant. Therefore, the Eg level is split into two levels, B1G and A1G, and the T2G set is split into B2G and a doubly degenerate Eg. Okay, and all these symmetry levels are assigned on the basis of D4 character table. Now let us take the special case of D8 octahedral. D8 system favor a square planar geometry. These are low spin complexes in which the 8 d electrons occupy the low energy dxz, dyz, dz square and dxy orbitals. Examples of D8 system are NiCN4 2 minus, PdCl4 2 minus, PtNH3 whole 4 2 plus, PtCl4 2 minus, AuCl4 minus, etc. So for today, this is it. I hope you all have understood the splitting pattern of octahedral, tetrahedral and square planar geometries. It is very important for calculation of CFSEs, and I will be discussing the factors affecting delta and applications of CFT further. Thank you.